Hello, it's me again after several weeks of what they call retreat. It wasn't really a retreat, I spent a lot of time worrying about things and sorting out things and thinking about things and crying and screaming and blah, blah, blah. So I'm still alive. The energy is probably a bit different, I don't know. This is the Gemini full moon. I'm not going to talk about that so much. Lots of astrologers talk about that. I'm just going to talk about the kind of other side of it, the implications. Because Gemini is two. It's two everything. Geminis often have two people in their lives, two heads. I've got two. I've got a Gemini ascendant. My daughter always says to me I'm very unreliable and unpredictable because I change a lot. I think Geminis they're quite changeable. Hot and cold, da 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 da. It's an air sign, ruled by Mercury. So it's a tricky. Well, it's not all signs are tricky, but it depends where you're at really. But I'm going to talk about the duality because it is a duality to two of everything. I think Mercury's got the twins as well. Anyway, I'm just going to talk about that a little bit because there's a saying, the masters have a saying, like decrees, affirmations, decrees, and there's one for every month. And I don't usually read these out, but this one is particularly applicable, I think, because for me, I've noticed it's working very well. See, a lot of astrologers say that the moon's in the opposite sign, so we're into Sagittarius as well. But I think we take the Gemini as being the sun sign that it is in, so that's what I'm doing. That's what the masters like. You've got to do what we're told. So the saying for Gemini is, I recognise my other self, and in the waning of that self, I grow and glow. Now, it took me quite a while to understand that, and it is quite profound, but of course we do have several selves, and I think this means the other self is the shadow self, the self that we're not always aware of, that does things we don't like to do or whatever. And I think we're all kind of recognising that self, and in the recognition of it, our own light and experience and understanding wouldn't dissolves it, but it transforms it. It makes it into something else, so you become a more whole person. You're integrating, if you like. You're integrating the bits that you don't particularly like about yourself. That's why it takes me so long. No, I mustn't say that. But it's true. It's history. It's being aware. It's being aware and being conscious. And being conscious is part of the problem. I think the more conscious you get, the more difficult it gets, because the more conscious you get, the more aware you get, the more you see the side of you don't like. And oh gosh, here we are again. Why did I do that? Why did I say that? And it does get a bit obsessive, especially for me. I'm living on my own, and my Gemini bit's quite handy because I've got two heads, you see. They talk to each other. But I mean, in my age, you could imagine a whole lifetime of stuff. You think, my God, why did I marry that man? Why did I do that? Why did I do this? But you did the best you can at the time with the consciousness that you've got at the time. And of course, sometimes if you're more aware and you still do things that are silly, well, that's your own fault, isn't it? But you do make a choice. You do make a choice about making a decision to do something that you think you shouldn't be doing. And that's the hardest thing. How do you know? How do you know what is the right thing? You don't really know. I think the thing is to trust your intuition, to trust your heart chakra, because the head doesn't know a thing really. I mean, it's got the experience, but then you have to sort of go between the two and find out which is the truth. And it's usually the most difficult one, I find. The most difficult was to change your patterns, to do something differently done before. So the waning of this self that you're trying to understand or release or forgive or whatever, to try and make that a different energy, to try and bring it into a new kind of being. I hope that makes sense. I just feel I'd have to do these things, and I think, am I making sense? I think some people, well, it doesn't matter, does it? It doesn't matter. I mean, my spiritual master Maharaja, he's a gem. I mean, some of you might know of him. He talks to thousands of people. beautiful Primoire, he's called now, and he talks, he rabbits on, he's on the stage on his own, he talks to thousands of people, and he says, when you go for your meal afterwards, don't discuss what I've said, because it won't make sense. And it doesn't, because he's talking from his heart, you see, and a lot of the stuff he's coming out with is like supposed to reach our hearts. If you start getting into your head about it, you forget it. You just got to listen to it, let it absorb, and the part of you that is the new self, just learning to let go of the old self, or take it on board. So hopefully the things I talk about at some level will go in and help. You know, it doesn't matter whether you understand it or not. So she says, so the second thing I'm leading up to really is the waning of the self. It's almost like this is something that happened, it's slightly different, but it may be applicable. Do you remember a video I did some time ago about the written word? About how I found a piece of paper that's written in 1986. 1986, before I left my husband. I was doing channeling and writing then, automatic writing. It's quite easy to do actually. You just sit down quietly with the pen and paper and just allow your mind to sort of be receptive to thoughts that are coming, and you just write them down. You don't actually hear the thoughts, you just write it down. So this was written in 1986 by the Master Joshua, Jesus. And we were getting on quite well in those days. I was channeling and doing a lot of stuff. And I thought, this is kind of a recap really, because this led on to something that happened to me 2 or 3 weeks ago, which I think you'll love. It's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. He talks about, I won't read it all out, but he says the time is coming when I should be present in a multitude of ways. Look for me, recognize me, and love our Father, for in that love you will find peace. Now, I don't know if this is written in 1986. Quite profound at the time, and still quite profound. I think I understand, I do understand what it means, but it's hard to explain in words, that the Joshua, the Christ energy, God, is in everything. I mean, a lot of us know that, but to feel it and to know it is something different. Many years ago, when I was still married, 40 years ago, I went for a country walk, and I was suddenly very aware that I was at one with everything. It was a profound moment, didn't last long, and I haven't had it since, but that was something in my early days of starting up, I guess, really. So I was driving to Woodhall Spa, one of my favourite places in Sainsbury's, for a quick shop, feeling a bit, I don't know, I was feeling a bit down. That was a couple of weeks ago, so we were coming up to the full moon, and the trees, it's an avenue of trees that you drive down, a bit like Cheltenham, if people are from the UK, the avenue, the trees. I mean, I don't know if you've noticed, but this fifth dimension which I'm in now, not, I think it's subplane or something, the colours are vibrant. I mean, the colours are stronger and more vibrant, and the greens are almost like emerald, they're shimmering. That's how it is on the astral plane, I suppose, I don't know. But the colours are so magnificent, and these trees you drive down, and they're overhanging, they meet at overhanging, and the colours. And I was just driving down thinking, and I thought, how beautiful this all is, that God is in every leaf, every little twig, every little thing, the smallest, the little ants, everything. God is present in all these things. And suddenly this inrush of energy, it was Joshua. I knew it was him. It was his energy that I was picking up on, that's in all things. As he said here, look for me, the time is coming when I will be present in a multitude of ways. I mean, I had to pull the car over. I had to stop, and I cried and I cried. It was so beautiful. It really was. It lasted about 5 or 10 minutes, but it triggered off, I suppose, my heart chakra. Something in me recognised it. Raja talks about this, about recognition. It's a recognising of this kind of beauty and the love and the energy. I mean, I can't say I've ever experienced anything like it. Though I have mentioned it once or twice. I'm getting there. But this was just me recognising that God was in all things. I mean, you can't describe what that is for the individual. Everyone's different, of course. But it was something I just suddenly realised and recognised, that there is nowhere she is not, you know. And it's in a way reassuring, isn't it? We go through our daily lives, you know, thinking thinking we're alone. I do a lot, thinking we're alone, there's nobody there, da, da, da. And really all the time, I feel quite emotional. All the time, this wonderful energy is around us and within us. Within us, of course, the breath, the Holy Spirit is within us, and each time we breathe, we're breathing in that magnificence. I won't go into that because that's Mirage's subject. He talks about the breathe in me breath of God, you know. I think that's a bit of channeling, don't you? Anyway, dear ones, I won't go on too long because I'm still a bit frail. I got my glasses on because the bags under my eyes are so bad. I've got a bracelet and it's called Mookaite. I've got this, a dreadful feeling about old age. I just can't get used to it. I hate it. Well, I must stop saying that. I don't like old age. I'm finding it really hard. And a thought came to me the other day to get this Mookaite. It's called Mookaite bracelet. It helps with old age. I don't know if it reduces wrinkles. I think it helps psychologically to help you cope. On that note, I'm getting a buzz, so I'm going to have to go. So I do hope you found something worthwhile. It's a Gemini energy, so a bit of a duality going on. Take care of yourself, dear ones. God bless. Love you lots. Bye.